be here with you all. I want to thank the Asian Roundtable for inviting me, and I want to thank the Denver Athletic Club, of course, for hosting this event. I've spent many an hour here in the Rotary Club and on other occasions here at the Denver Athletic Club. As you all know, I'm grateful for the chance to speak with you and to listen to your concerns and your hopes and your aspirations. I think many of you know. If you don't, I want you to know that my office has always been connected to the Asian community here in Colorado. I think many of you know Rachel Alton, who's on my staff. I think she's right here, say her right here. Let's give her a round of applause. She's been great. Just a while back, I was out with you all at the Dragon Boat Festival. I had the great honor of riding on the boats, and I think it carried me forward with a good feeling and a further commitment to your community in this great state of Colorado. I have to tell you, serving as your United States Senator has been the greatest honor of my life. You know why? Because every day I get to fight for Colorado and a special way of life that we enjoy here. It's truly the best job I could imagine. And part of that honor is working with so many great public servants we have in our state, including our governor, John Hickman. I think the governor was just here, right? John had a chance to hear from the governor. All of you know, just because of the very fact you're here in this room, that supporting and strengthening our communities through service is one of our greatest privileges, and it's one of the most unique things about being an American. There's this spirit of volunteerism and public service orientation that seems to run through every American's DNA. And when you combine that with our Western heritage, which teaches us to be self-reliant and independent, but also to be rugged cooperators, we just get things done. And it's that spirit I'm seeing across the state in this election. People are getting out in neighborhoods to knock on doors, sign up voters, and talk to their neighbors about how much is at stake. And let me share some of my thoughts about this election, but also more broadly about Colorado itself. I hold an unwavering belief in the promise of our state and our people. And I respect Colorado's unique sense of independence. I'm always going to stand up for your rights. Brave American women have fought to secure the right to make their own health care decisions based on what they believe is right for themselves and their families. And it astounds me that some still think the legality of birth control and access to reproductive health services should be subject to debate. I'm never going to stop fighting to protect the rights of Colorado women. My mother was a third generation Colorado, and she raised me to believe that every person, no matter their heritage or the size of their bank account, deserves an equal opportunity to succeed. That's why, as your senator, I've worked every day to stand up for Colorado's working families. As Coloradans, we know that we have to do everything we can to help prepare our next generation of leaders. It's why I fought to stop interest rates on student loans from doubling, and why I put forward a plan to allow students to refinance their current loans at lower interest rates, just like a homeowner can. Right now, a homeowner can walk in if rates drop and refinance their home. A student or a parent or an uncle or family friend holding a student loan can't do that. We should change that. I've also fought to fully fund Pell Grants, which hundreds of thousands of Americans, tens of thousands of Coloradans rely on to attain a college degree, including many minority students. Coloradans know that making college affordable is just one part of making sure our families have access to the educational opportunities they need to succeed in our 21st century economy. We need to close that skills gap that prevents too many unemployed workers from beginning new careers. Unlike our parents, we're going to have myriad careers. Our parents often had one career. We need to have expanded job training and workforce development programs. They are essential to spurring economic growth. That's why I fought to pass the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, so that states and cities have the resources to bolster job retraining programs, the demands of the global economy. And you all know in this room, as much as any community in Colorado, we are in a global economy. We are in a global economic race. We can win that race, and we have to have the most highly trained workforce in the world. You also know in this room that small businesses are the engine of America's economy. we've got to continue advocating for those businesses by fostering entrepreneurship. And that's why I fought to ensure that we increase tax incentives for companies that create homegrown Colorado jobs right here in Colorado. It's also why I'm committed to cutting red tape so that Colorado small businesses can succeed. And that's why I champion legislation to cut arbitrary regulations and free up capital that small businesses count on to grow and create jobs. Think about it. We have a capitalist economic system. We ought to make capital as available as we possibly can. Of course, that access, that freedom, that right to capital ought to come with the responsibilities as well. But let's make capital available. You all know what I'm going to say next when it comes to the fact that many of the small businesses here in Colorado are Asian. They made extraordinary contributions to our state's economy. And at last count, hopefully you'll correct me, the number's even larger, but at last count, 14,000 Asian-owned businesses had sales of $3.4 billion and provided jobs for over 27,000 people. These businesses and the jobs they support embody Colorado's spirit of innovation and opportunity, and I'm committed to making sure that they continue to grow. Let me talk about the economy. You know, there's some signs of hope. Coloradans have worked hard to add more than 70,000 new jobs in energy and natural resources, in construction and health services. I'm sure the governor shared the unemployment's down to the lowest it's been in at least 5 years. Our economy is ranked in the top 5 when it comes to growth factors in any of the states. But we can't let up. There's more we can do to advance economic prosperity right here at home. What's one big step we can take? Reform our broken immigration system. It would give farmers and businesses here in Colorado and all across the nation the secure legal workforce they need to thrive. And that's why I worked with my colleague Senator Bennett to pass landmark comprehensive immigration reform through the Senate. Immigrants have made extraordinary contributions to Colorado's businesses and communities. They help spur economic growth through increased innovation and starting new businesses. What do these new businesses mean? Well, they mean new customers for the companies that supply them, more tax revenue for local communities, and more job opportunities for Coloradans. At the end of the day, immigration reform is also about strengthening Colorado's communities. By keeping families intact, we are giving them a full stake in American life. Now, Bill Clinton put it famously, if you allow me a moment of personal privilege. He said, America is strong not in spite of our diversity, but because of our diversity. And you all know in this room, if you've traveled ever, and I've traveled plenty around the world, that everyone you meet in every other country is an American in their core, in their heart. And that's our strength as a nation, is we have every religion, every ethnicity, every race, every aspiration any human being has, regardless of what they look like or where they came from. My family came across the United States. We were Mormons. We had a new religion. It's not a very popular religion. We were discriminated against. We experienced prejudice, not maybe at the level of that some communities have when they come to America, or the Native people who were here from the beginning. But out of those experiences, in my family, I was taught to stand with those who face discrimination. I was taught to stand with those who maybe had a different religion, different ethnicity, different race. And I can tell you that I'll never forget those lessons, and I'll never forget our history. And right here in Colorado, we have an example that we'll never forget from the Second World War. The internment camps are unacceptable. They're a scar on America, but we've learned from that. And we honor the governor, Ralph Carr, who put his own political future on the line by standing up and expressing his opposition. He didn't carry the day at the time. He wasn't reelected during World War II, but he did the right thing. And I want you to know I'm always going to endeavor to do the right thing with your help. So let me close with a couple of additional thoughts, and I want to restate. my job to fight to improve the lives of your families and all Colorado families. I want middle-class families to have a chance at economic success. As I've said, that means making college more affordable, helping businesses prosper, and fixing our broken immigration system. You all know me. My approach to finding solutions has been to find the common ground we share and to work to resolve differences pragmatically. To be a rugged cooperator. And I'm always going to strive to do right by the special state we know as Colorado. But I couldn't do this job without Coloradans like you who got my back. So I want to be straight with you as I conclude. If we're going to beat back the Koch brothers and their billionaire friends who are trying to buy this election, we need your help. If we're ever going to stop the ideological extremists from turning back the clock on women's rights, we need your help. If we're ever going to overcome the inequalities that plague too many of our hardworking families, we need your help. And if we're ever going to get beyond all the partisanship and shutdowns and the gridlock, then I need your help to fight to bring that common sense that's Colorado through and through to Washington, D.C. Your energy and your dedication is our most powerful weapon in this election. And it's going to make a difference in this race and beyond because the other side just can't actually. Again, my name is Mark Udall, and I'm here to ask for your support and your vote so that together we can keep moving Colorado forward. Thank you very much.
Says he's willing to answer a couple questions. Okay. Oh, I thought we would maybe take the opportunity, since I know many of you expressed that you wanted to ask some questions, the opportunity to do so. So anyone who would like to ask Mark Udall a question can come here.
Yes. Yeah, I think all of us in elected office believe that there's way too much money in elections today. I think Congressman Gardner, my opponent in this race, and I don't agree on much, but I think we agree on this, that we'd like to have a fair fight between the two of us, given our contrasting vision and proposals, without all this outside money pouring in. So there are efforts legislatively to rein in the effects of all this dark money. There are legal cases underway that would tax that money. Right now it often flows into these organizations that are very hard to track. These organizations have very little transparency. There's some cases that are winning their way through the courts. I've also signed on to a constitutional amendment which would not set the rules for campaign finance systems, but would provide the Congress with the power to do so. And it would overturn, in effect, the Buckley v. Vallejo decision in 1976, which the Citizens United decision is a follow-on. And that decision, 1976, I think you and I were around then, and you may remember, it equated speech with money. And my answer to that is, if speech is money, and money is speech, then there are an awful lot of Americans that aren't being heard. So we need to act, and I'm strongly in and committed to reforming our campaign finance system. I think that is the difference between my opponent and me. I don't think he supports the Constitutional Amendment. I believe that's the way forward. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
At this time, I would like to introduce our next speaker, Bob O'Fray. He is, of course, the Republican candidate for governor of Colorado in the 2014 elections. From 2003 until 2007, O'Fray served as Republican member of the United States House of Representatives, representing the 7th politics while he was still serving in Congress, but however, he did, of course, lose the general election. But Ray, believe it or not, interesting fact about him, just in case you didn't know, raised on a dairy farm in Colorado. He worked there for over 4 decades. He and his wife then bought and ran a community bank, and under their management, ended up opening 12 new branches of that bank. His political career began in earnest when he became the chairman of Colorado Republican Party in 1999. He held the role until 2002 when he was first elected to the U.S. House by the voters of Colorado's 7th Congressional District. After completing 2 terms in Congress, Ray returned to the Northwest Colorado area to work on his family's buffalo breeding branch. So let's give a warm welcome to Bob Ray.
Thank you all for that very nice warm welcome. It's nice to be with you today. I see so many friends in the audience. As she mentioned, my background, and specifically my time as a community banker and then a state party chairman, and that's probably, as I walk in and saw my good friend Kenny Yu, probably where I met a great many of you in this room now, either through a banking relationship that we developed in one of our many locations, or even through my, maybe most especially, through my work as State Republican Party Chairman, where we did a great deal of outreach and it developed some lifelong friends. Let me talk very specifically about this governor's race and about your community, frankly, all communities in Colorado. I think opportunity has been lacking a bit in the last 4, even 8 years by a whole lot of economic measures. Opportunity that historically would come to Colorado has been going to other states around us. Believe it or not, employment in the 5 states surrounding us, Wyoming, Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, Utah, all 5 of those states' employment numbers are better than Colorado's. Now, 5 years into the recovery to a lifelong Colorado, that just simply doesn't make any sense. Colorado has historically been at the top of the heap, the place where opportunity happens, the place where we typically have full employment, the place where we have the highest rate of labor force participation and great entrepreneurship. So you ask yourself, why is that? 2 fairly notable economists tell us exactly why. Art Laffer and Steve Moore, they rank the states every year based on economic outlook and opportunity. And according to them, just 4 years ago, the same time John Hickenlooper came to the governor's office, they had us ranked number 2 in economic outlook and opportunity. And historically, they've had us in the top 5. Right now, they say we're number 22. And the reason they explain is because of recent regulatory and legislative changes made at the state level. Some 2,000 new regulations implemented on John Hickenlooper's watch. 11 to 14,000 pages of just state regulations year after year, on top of the 80,000 plus pages of federal regulations. Now, anybody who's been in America long enough, been in a free market system long enough, knows that you regulate something enough, restrict it enough, tight enough, you get less of it, not more of it. And that's exactly what Moore and Laffer are talking about. And under my watch, we're going to turn the tables. Any of you ever been through an audit, a government audit? Not much fun, is it? We're going to invite you to help us audit government. We've already got a portal open, www.bobbopray, my name, www.bobbopray.com/audit. If government's getting in your way, like everybody around Colorado tells me is getting in their way, you can send us your ideas, whether it's a piece of legislation, a specific rule regulation you'd like to see amended or repealed, or if it's an action of government, they fail to issue a permit in a timely manner, their licensing is delayed or stalled, or you can't get an answer out of government. Tell us, and we'll fix it, just like we fixed this little bank that we bought that was failing. And in about a dozen years, it was one of the best operating banks in the state, and it had grown by over 100-fold, from $4 million to $400 million in assets. You do that by finding a way to serve customers better, smarter, wiser, to find a way to stick your hand out and partner with them, not poke your finger in their eye and tell them to go away. That's what we need from our state government. Let's get this economy moving again. Let's really make it an economy for everybody that wants a job. And right now we're about 200,000 jobs short of where we should be. On the governor's watch, our labor force participation rate, that's the number of people that either have a job or want a job, has fallen by almost 2 full percentage points from already historic lows on his watch. That's not a positive signal, folks. That's a negative signal. That's a sign that there's trouble. Let me give you another one. He'll brag about how the unemployment rate went down last month to 5.1. You know why it went down? Because 3,700 Coloradans grew increasingly frustrated to the point they gave up and left the workforce. Another 3,700, 5 years into a supposed recovery, in the middle of the high employment summer season. 700 fewer jobs in Colorado last month, not more. And yet on his watch, government employment in the state of Colorado has grown by 17%. Apparently, the best place to apply for a job is at John Hickenlooper's office. That doesn't grow an economy. The private sector does, free enterprise does, entrepreneurship does. Your genius, your creativity. The question in front of us is, do you believe and trust in people, or do you believe and trust in government? Where I come from, our family farm, our small businesses that we operated, and especially the people that we partnered with at that community bank, I learned firsthand, if you believe and trust in the goodness and the decency and the genuineness, the creativity of people, and that's what made this country the greatest nation on God's green earth. It can get us there again. Let me talk for a minute about education. We've got a tragedy going on in Colorado. It's absolutely shameful. It's been going on for too long. For almost 30% of our third graders can't read at grade level proficiency. Let that soak in for a minute. 8 and 9-year-old children can't read like an 8 or 9-year-old child should be able to. And this year, it got worse by almost 2 full percentage points. If we're going to be an opportunity state, ladies and gentlemen, if we're really going to mean it when we say it's for the children, after all, you know, government always likes to say that, how in the world can we let that kind of a scandal continue to happen? 3 years ago, he signed legislation, the governor did, that was supposed to fix that problem, but he provided no leadership. That's why the test scores just got worse by almost 2 full percentage points again. That scandal is going to end on my watch, and your new First Lady, my wife, is going to make that her First Lady's initiative as well. With her effort, every child that's born in Colorado, as long as their parent signs a little postcard, here's the name and address, that child, until they go off to school, will get an age-appropriate book in the mailbox. Send the message to mom and dad, read to your child. We know that nothing helps a child get started better than a parent that reads to them. And it's pretty healthy for the family as well. And we know that 30% of our children can't read at grade level in third grade. What we also know is that if they can read at grade level in third grade, 95% of them will go on and graduate from high school. We want to change the dynamics of this culture. We want to change our economy. Let's give every single child in Colorado that has the ability to learn and to read that opportunity. Let me talk about immigration for just a second, because I know it's an important issue to you. It wasn't very long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, Kenny, you maybe introduced me to him. I met a Chinese gentleman. He came here to go to school on a student visa. Graduated, loved this country, got a job offer, said, I'd like to stay here. He already had a wife, she was still in China. They just made a decision, instead of him going home to China, that she would immigrate here, and this would be their new home. Some of you probably did the same thing. 11 years he had to wait. His wife had to wait for her to get her immigration approved. Folks, we do need, here's what needs to happen. We have every right and obligation, frankly, to secure our border and know who comes here. But we also have to modernize legal immigration so people can get an answer in short order, yes or no, and that we know who's coming and why, and we can get access to the labor force that we need to keep this economy going. And don't anybody tell me that that's too complicated, the government can't do it. I've got a wallet full of identification right now. And having been in banking, I know we do billions of transactions a day all over the globe and never even think about whether it's accurate or on time. We have the capacity. What we don't have is the will from government. I think governors will be the solution to solving this problem, because governors and state budgets and state economies, state-run institutions like schools and hospitals are being impacted by the federal government's failure to act. I look forward to being part of a coalition of governors that will pressure the federal government to do just that. Secure our border, modernize legal immigration, enforce the rule of law, and then solve the problem. With that, let me stop and see if there's any questions from any of you that you'd like me to address. And I do see a hand. Am I supposed to just ask these questions, or is somebody moderating? Is it okay if I just ask? Okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is a little off topic, but as governor, will you make an attempt to stop the 24/7, 365-day-a-year drug dealing north, south, east, and west of the state capital, right across the street? The mayor and the Denver Police Department are absent without leave or bent on the issue. I live in the Capitol Hill neighborhood. We are desperate for some help, up to and including the National Guard.
Yeah, you've got obviously more hands-on and personal information than I do, but I've heard that exact same thing, and not only right around the square block of the Capitol. It's much more prevalent than that. And when I take the oath to enforce the laws of the state of Colorado, it will be all of them. I wasn't a fan of 64, for example, but it's in our Constitution. I will enforce that law, but to the extent of the law, and I will also make sure that law enforcement gets the backup and support it needs to protect our safety. The drug issue is one. And from what I understand right now, instead of driving illegal drug activity out of Colorado, it's actually compounded the problem. You may not like reality, but if you've accepted a role of an elected leader, you have to address reality and be willing to deal with reality. And you bring up one big piece of it, if I might. Public safety in general, especially our parole and sentencing policies, need to be addressed in Colorado. Here's the facts, ladies and gentlemen. On an annual basis, about 2,600 individuals are paroled from state corrections every single year. Half of them, over 50% actually, will recommit crimes and be reincarcerated. That's called recidivism rate, over 50%. And that puts us among the 3 worst states in the nation. Now, pretending that we don't have a problem, as the governor, when he was mayor of Denver, said we don't have a gang problem in Denver, we know how that worked out. Pretending we don't have a problem is not solving a problem. Wishing and hoping is not an agenda. So, sir, on my watch, rest assured, public safety will be one of them. It's impacting the citizens, and you probably know full well, it's impacting the businesses in downtown Denver, very specifically up and down that beautiful 16th Street Mall on a daily basis. You got to follow up, I see?
Yeah, we have a council person in Denver. I'm going to state this publicly for the first time, Aldous Brooks, and we have captured a tweet from him in 2011, and he says, and this is a quote, "Walking in the hood with the Crips, I represent in capital letters all of the people in my district. It's the Bloods and the Crips that are dealing the drugs north, south, east, and west of the state capital. And the police department, I'll repeat it again, is AWOL, which equals bent. From New York City, we had bad police pre-Giuliani, and then good police. This is the bad police days in Denver, and it's all around the capital."
Thank you, sir. Another question? Yes.
I thank you Colorado's future in the global economy. As far as I know right now, business is borderless between countries, and this entire community is the biggest Asian continent. But Colorado, when we talk about international business, it's Mexico or Canada or China sometimes, and just because we have a direct flight to Japan, maybe we go there. But we are missing this entire continent of Asia. I would love to see a governor who is more proactive in Colorado's future with the global economy. So please give us your...
Well, I'd like to be that governor. I was privileged when I was in Congress to be one of 3 members to be invited to the Indian Embassy, I remember, on Indian Independence Day. And some of you in this room maybe had a little to do with me getting that invitation, and I very much appreciated that. Look, my nature, and I'll go back to when we were in the dairy business. We had a family dairy farm, but what I really wanted to do, and the reason I came home and asked my dad if I could have a place there, and he made me a full partner. I saw the opportunity to sell cattle, not just milk. And so we converted to herd of purebreds and sold cattle in every continent of the world but Australia. So I expanded that market. When we got into the banking business, we had one location in one little town. And within about a dozen years, we had 13 locations in 13 different towns. And so my nature is to see business, see opportunity, and grow and seize that opportunity. I like to be, if you'll excuse the metaphor a little bit, I like to be that cheerleader, that head salesman. And I love Colorado. I love the opportunity to sell Colorado, to bring business here and to send what we have in abundance other places around the globe. So I very much look forward to having the opportunity to do just exactly that. Thank you.
So if you were the governor, would you take a vacation with the national U.S.-India Chamber of Commerce?
At the first invitation I can accept. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
If you were in this place, would you priority for immigration reform needs, or much rising the border, or the security and then how you have to stop as priority?
But nobody wants to militarize the border. We have to secure the border any way we can, and mere presence on the border. I talked to Governor Perry about this, and this has been taken considerably out of context. He said when he got Texas Rangers and yes, the National Guard, just there, it works just exactly like when you see a policeman on I-25, you immediately look down at your odometer and say, maybe I better slow down and make sure I don't get a ticket. He said that was exactly the impact that uniformed personnel had on the border. Nobody had to fire a weapon. Nobody had to militarize. But it was the presence on the border that he said diminished in a matter of a couple of weeks by the number of illegal crossings by 2/3. Just the presence, just that somebody was there. What we need to do is solve the central issue, and it happens this way. And I think we need to do it with considerable human dignity. What we have been doing in America for now 3 decades is not the American way. There's nothing dignified about allowing, frankly, in a way, encouraging a group of people to have to live in the shadows in fear. We're a better country than that. Secure the border so we know who's coming here and that we, in fact, want them to come here. Secondly, modernize legal immigration so that people can get an answer and then enforce the employment rules that already say that you have to hire somebody who's legally a resident of the United States of America. Third, and the issue you bring up, is to invite people who are here undocumented illegally to identify themselves, go through a background check, go through the process, whatever process we describe, and pay some sort of restitution and get square and get legal. And then families can stay united. But if somebody is here that we don't want here, if they haven't kept their nose clean, for example, then we can send them home. But the problem has not been one so much of ability, but a lack of will. And my friend Susana Martinez in New Mexico said it very clearly. If Barack Obama wanted to solve this problem, he had every opportunity to solve this problem in his first 2 years when he could have passed any single piece of legislation he imagined, and he never introduced a thing, nor did the House or Senate. They never introduced a thing. They politicized it. That's what they did. This is a lack of will rather than a lack of ability or even a clear strategy. Thank you very much for allowing me to do that.
Great, thank you. At this time, I just want to remind you once again that Election Day, November 4th, so make sure you register, make sure you go out there and vote. And if you do have any other questions, any feedback that you'd like to give us, please feel free to email. It's arcforum2014@hotmail.com. And if you would like to be a member of this Asian Roundtable Forum, there's also information in your pamphlet about how you can be a part of that. Thank you so much for being here. We definitely appreciate it. Have a great Saturday.